Welcome to this special socially distanced WJHI production. I am Wyatt Williams, and along with me is the Red Devils head basketball coach, Coach Andrew Grants. How are you today, sir?
Doing good, doing good.
That's awesome. Glad to be here. So, kind of recapping here, just looking back, it seems like we've been so far into the season, but yet we just started at the same time. So, the team got off to a little bit of a rough start with quarantine, missing a lot of key time, which really led to some close rivalry games. How has the team responded to adversity?
Yeah, they've done a good job. I tell you what, they're a tough group in the sense that we were able to come back and watch film, break down the things that we needed to work on, and then they came and applied those, and they're and really trying to do a better job of that. So I've been proud of them that way, and then our last two games to be able to get double-digit wins after kind of a tough stretch there. I was proud of how they bounced back.
That's awesome. So, flashback to the Floyd Central, New Albany, and Providence games.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the key takeaways? I mean, I know that they didn't end the way that we would like,
right?
But what were some of the key takeaways in those games for you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they didn't end the way that we like, but right now we're still learning so much. It is still so new with me coming in with the new team, new system, like you said, with the quarantine stuff that's kind of happened, held us back. So we're really gaining that trust with each other still, learning how to play, what's our best way to play. Some of the takeaways that we had from those games that I really thought we needed to focus on more was on the offensive end and just the some basic fundamentals that we weren't executing very well, that we were struggling to score against. So a lot of what all three of those teams had done to us was really sell out on Will Lovings-Watts, and then they would take Brandon Razor's more jump shot away, but they were sending three at Will every time that he put it on the floor.
Yeah.
Will does a great job of athletically getting to the rim and finishing, and so we needed a little bit of two things. We needed, some more just jump stopping under control and recognizing when that happened, but also our players off the ball as well to be understanding open spots on the floor and where to move to and where to get those easy baskets. And we've really, really been honing in on that and harping on that the last few weeks, and I felt like we did a decent job of that against North Oldham. And then against Columbus East, I feel like we really did a much better job of that. That was offensively our most efficient game of the year. So I was proud of how the guys responded, and took those things that we've been teaching them and applied them to their game the last few games. They've done a good job of that.
So you mentioned the last two wins being double-digit, of course. Some key players, especially a key player that has been added to the team, Jalen Fairman, and he has added a ton of stuff to your team. A lot of great looks, allowing other guys to get open and create more space for people. But what has his addition to the team been so far?
Yeah, a few things. First thing you think of or that you notice when you watch him play is his speed, his ability to, but he sees the floor really well in transition. His ability to get the ball up the floor, it's allowing us to play faster and get some of those easy baskets that we struggled, against New Albany, Providence, and Floyd, those three. And so that's helped out a ton. And then also just his ability to give us that other wing or that other guard that really stretches the floor to give us some speed. So he's done a good job of that. And then the thing that I've really liked is just in the two games that he's been with us, and I think a lot of this has to do with just him growing up in Jeffersonville and knowing these guys and being friends with them, the chemistry that he already has, being able to point and get guys in spots where they need to be at and put them in the right positions to succeed and be successful. And so he's really done a great job of that for us.
So when you mentioned the camaraderie, we talked about that a lot on our last coach's show.
Yeah.
Now that Jalen's been added, sometimes it's a little difficult to keep the camaraderie, but it seems like everything's been clicking on all cylinders. As you mentioned, he already played with these guys. So how has the camaraderie been affected ever since he came in?
It's been great. He's added some energy to the team. I think the team is excited. They've accepted him, into the team, and he's came right in. And what's great about him is, he's a very respectful young man. He's a team guy. So he's trying to do what he can do to help the team win. It's not about himself. And then it's awesome because the rest of the team is understanding that he can help us win in certain areas, and haven't, heard anything or had any issues with the team of them making it about themselves. They're making it about each other, which is, really special to see, and I think will really carry us forward down the stretch.
Speaking of the team, Somebody we didn't really mention last time in our last coach's show, I didn't bring up this name, but Kobe Studemeyer, he looks much more comfortable on the floor, and he has been playing much better with the addition of Jalen. What has gone into that?
Well, Kobe does such a good job, especially off the ball, being able to play off of his jump shot. And so when he's running point, it's a little bit harder to do that because you have to kind of get us into our sets and get us in our spots and do that. And Kobe does such a good job of catching, seeing the rim, that knocking down the jumper off of the ball, off of the catch, but also being able to play off that shot fake, get into the paint, and do that. So that's allowed him to be a lot more comfortable. He had a great game against North Oldham. He had even not necessarily playing the point guard spot full time against East this past weekend. He had 6 assists, and so it was one of his higher assist games of the year. But it all, I think, is because he does such a good job of playing off of his jump shot and playing off of the ball and understanding where to move to, that we've been able to use him both ways, to where we can use him as the point guard when we need to, but we're also able to play him off of that as well. So it's allowed him to be a threat in 2 different ways.
So looking forward at your next couple of games, B&L, of course, is the one that you guys have this Friday, and it's at their house. What are some of the things that you're most looking forward to with this team?
Yeah, we get a chance to go on the road again. So another conference road game after following up with East here. So Bedford's a tough place to play. I know they got us last year, and we want to be able to come back and have a little revenge on them for getting us at our place, and we want to make sure that we go back there and take care of business. I imagine them playing quite a bit of zone. When they do go man-to-man, they're going to be very, very physical. Offensively, they move the ball. They cut extremely hard offensively. They spread you out, do a very good job of driving and getting into your body on drives and then playing off spin moves when they get into your body. So, it's going to be a challenge for us with our man-to-man defense to make sure that we're keeping the ball in front of us and being strong and physical as well. And then offensively, carrying over those fundamentals that we've been working on, jump stopping under control, accepting contact, accepting pressure, and then understanding how to make a secondary move off that jump stop that opens up those backdoor opportunities or those guys filling for open jump shots to where we're patient off of those.
So then right after that, you guys have another tough matchup, that being Lawrence North at their house. That was an awesome game here last year.
Yeah.
So now you guys get to go to their place. They are currently #1 in the state.
Yeah.
As for right now. Now they probably will drop to #2 after that loss to Homestead the other night. But still, they're a great team. How cool is it to go up to Indianapolis and play some of these bigger schools for you guys?
What I'm really excited about with the Lawrence North game is it's a measure. It's a measuring stick for us. I'm excited that we get to go into that game at their place, and it's going to be tough after a conference game. We've got an hour and 45 minutes on the road the night before. We turn around the next day. We got 2 hours 15 minutes on the road the next day. So that's going to be a tough challenge. It's going to challenge us mentally to be able to handle the game the next day, the road trip the next day. But to be able to go into the #1 team in the state, play at their place, it's going to be a very, very good measure for us to kind of see where we are, what we need to work on, and I enjoy playing those games against those top quality opponents because it shows us the things that we do well and that we need to continue to do well, and it also shows you the things that you need to correct and fix. So that's going to be an awesome opportunity, and I enjoy playing those games too because when you go play those teams, #1, your coaching staff, your players, your fans, everybody should be fired up for that opportunity because you have an opportunity to go make a statement and let the rest of the state know, hey, we're here and we're ready to take over that #1 spot. So we still have a lot of things that we got to do to get to that point, but I'm excited about some of the direction that we're heading on some things, and I think that's an opportunity for us that we can go in and make a statement in that game.
So you mentioned the road trip. What is the atmosphere on the bus like with the team? Everybody, crimped up on the bus. A big game on the road, far away. What is that atmosphere like?
Yeah, it's it's weird with COVID because we have to kind of spread out.
Sure.
We've got our mask on and everything. That's been one of those challenges this year that normally that bus time is that team building time. That opportunity, as you're going to a game, that opportunity to get focused in, to get locked in, and the guys still do that. It's just kind of a quiet focus whenever we go on those long road trips like that, and it's just making sure you're resting and just kind of going through mentally visualizing the things that you want to accomplish in the game and making sure that you're seeing it happen in your head before it happens on the court. But what's also weird about it is those bus rides is kind of when you have those tight, team bond moments. I've had a lot of bus rides with teams in the past where they're singing on the bus together. We're telling jokes back, yelling back to them. They're yelling up to us, and we're having fun. And just COVID's just been kind of weird this year, with that to where you got everybody spread out, like I said, with the mask on, and so that's been a little tough. That's been a little challenge. It's been a very different feel this year, so we're trying to keep it as normal as we can.
So when you mentioned the big feel, of course, with COVID and everything, the pandemic, it's been difficult on everybody, but and you guys have seen a huge brunt with that as at the beginning of the year with quarantine and everything. But what is it like to go play in these large arenas that we have in the state, and just it be completely empty?
It's the weirdest. It is the weirdest feeling because even after our Columbus East game, I was walking back to the locker room and I caught Jared Tyson. I just looked at him. I said, "Did that feel weird to you?" And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "The whole game did. Like from the time that we got here to the tip off to the end of the game, like it was just." There's just not that crowd to feed off of, that you normally have, or you go on a run, or you have a big dunk, or something happens, and your team gets excited, and that's great, and but you just don't hear the noise, so you don't have that kind of momentum to feed off of it. Or then when you need to stop, you don't have that crowd kind of behind you, or you go on the road and you hit that big shot and it kind of hushes the crowd, and like, oh, we got him, and so. Just not having that stuff is just weird. So we left that game, and that was a good win for us. And we won by double digits and kind of had it going away down the stretch there. And then, like I said, when I ran into Jared, I said, "Man, did that feel weird or what?" He's like, "Yeah, just." He goes, "It felt like a summer league afternoon game," and it did, and it really did. It was just that's the feel of it, and so it's unique. It's very, very different. So it's a challenge to. Get the players as hyped up as what they normally would be. But as coaches, you want to try to make it as normal as possible because you want them to have that special high school experience of, Indiana basketball is so special. But then COVID kind of takes away from it. So you're trying to do whatever you can as a coaching staff to make that experience, great for them.
So when you mentioned how loud that the crowds are and all that stuff, is there a benefit coaching-wise where now you can talk to your players, say, 30 feet away from you across the court, whereas in a loud 4,000 seater where people are screaming, you wouldn't be able to yell across, hey, whatever move that the player would need to do. Yeah. So is there an advantage coaching?
At times, I would say, but basketball is such a fast game, that it's got to be the players on the court. Even if there's no fans in there, it's still got to be the players on the court. It's got to be your point guard that's putting you in the right spots. Defensively, it's got to be everybody talking together as a unit. So it's good and it's bad because I can't call a play without the other team hearing it now. So if I call a play, they know it's coming. But it's good for me too because I can hear what's coming also. So yeah, it is a little different. But basketball is just such a fast-paced game, and it has to be so player-led, and your players have to be empowered enough, and confident enough to put guys in the right spots. So it still has to be from the players.
So. Looking around the conference now, in our last coaches show, we talked about Madison. At the time they were kind of heating up, and now seemingly they're on fire. I mean, they just beat New Albany at the Dog Pound. That is a very hard place to go win a game. So, how big is that game versus the rest of the games coming up? And considering it's a conference game.
Well, it is, but it's our last conference game. So if we don't take care of business Friday. If we don't take care of business against Seymour, and then we get to Madison, I mean, we've still got to take care of other conference games first. I still think that we have an opportunity, even with 2 conference losses, that we still have an opportunity to maybe share a conference title this year, depending on how the rest of the conference shakes out. So we're not out of it by any stretch. But I think if we look too far forward to Madison, or too far forward even to Seymour, before we get to Bedford and Jennings County and those other teams first, that we won't have ourselves in those situations to where we could maybe have Madison at the end of the year to win, to clinch a share or something like that. So I've watched them a little bit now just because they've played some common opponents, so I've gotten to see them a little bit, and they're doing a very, very good job. They do have a good team that knock down a lot of outside shots and do a good job with that. But our big focus right now is just Bedford and making sure that we're getting back on track within our conference.
So you guys are currently 10 games into the year, all right, and So you kind of get that feel for your team now. Everything's kind of shaping out. You can see who's who and what's what, of course.
Yeah.
So barring any unforeseen issues, you guys have 10 games left. So this is really that midpoint. What are you most excited about going into the rest of the year?
Yeah, we talked after the Columbus East game. We said, hey, this is our halfway point. We're right at halfway, which is crazy that we're halfway at the end of January. Yeah. It seems like we still have a lot of games to play, but not very much time left. But I said, hey, we're at our halfway point. Let's kind of reset, refocus. With Jalen Fairman coming in, that kind of changes the dynamics of our team. So we're like, let's reset, let's refocus. We kind of understand now that we have the full picture. What is our best way to play? How is our most effective way to play? So now we can really focus on that. So our big focus going forward is let's do what we can every single day to reach our full potential. Let's not worry about wins and losses, but let's do what we can every single day to reach our full potential. And if we do that, the wins and losses, that's the results. The results will take care of themselves, but we got to focus in on the process. If we, and I believe that the talent there, that if we do reach our full potential, that we can really accomplish something special. But we can't get ahead of ourselves and get results, too focused on the results. We want to win, absolutely. But we've got to make sure that we're taking care of our business every single day that we step onto the floor in practice, and just doing the little fundamental things right that maybe early on in the year we weren't doing as well, but now we need to get back to executing those simple things very, very well at a high level.
So you are huge on academic inspections as you should be, but what are some of the things as a coach that you do to hold players accountable, not just on the court, but in the classroom as well?
Yeah, well, number one starts with the teachers here at Jeff. They do a great job of communicating with me, and we'll communicate back and forth just about what's going on in the players' classes, what do they have coming up. The coaches, my assistant coaches, do a great job when we're in study hall of going around and checking with guys and kind of seeing what they have coming up as far as grades, if they need help, with any kind of tutoring or anything like that. And then the big thing is just accountability. My college coach that I worked for last year, he would always tell our players that academics is not necessarily hard, it's time consuming. And that's true. I mean, some of it can be difficult and some of it can be hard, but really it's just as hard as how much you're willing to put the time into it to learn it and to study it. So that just accountability piece of and reminding the kids that they're all capable of accomplishing what they want to accomplish in the classroom. It's just a matter of that commitment and that time. And so we try to hold them to that commitment. We try to hold them to putting in the time and the effort into it, just through some different accountability, things that we have, on the basketball court, before and after practice that we do. But we also really want to help teach them and help them grow, and that comes from our communication with our teachers and our assistant coaches and myself, spending that time in study hall and really just help tutor them on some things that they may need help with.
So I want to thank Coach Grants for a great interview. Best of luck on Friday night versus the Stars.
All right,
and on for the rest of the year. This has been a special socially distanced production from WJHI.